Dr. Hyun stared at the frozen screen in front of him. The data made no sense. For the third time this month, an apex predator had run away from humans instead of attacking them. He rubbed his tired eyes and looked around the research ship's main lab. The ship called Harmony's Edge floated quietly in space above the ice world of Velthera. Through the big windows, Hyun could see the planet's blue and white surface spinning slowly below them. It looked peaceful, but he knew better. Down there lived some of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. "Dr. Hyun, you need to see this," called Nari from her station across the room. She was the ship's communications expert, a young woman, with short black hair and quick fingers that never stopped moving over her control panels. Hyun walked over to her desk. On her screen, sound waves moved up and down in strange patterns. "What am I looking at?" "These are the sounds the Shiverclaws made when they saw our team today," Nari said. She pointed at the peaks and valleys on her screen. "The computer says, these sounds mean something like the ancient hunters or the old killers." Hyun felt cold despite the warm air in the ship. "Play it again." The speakers filled with a low, deep sound that seemed to come from somewhere very old and very afraid. It was not the noise of anger or hunger. It was the sound of pure fear. "Sir," came another voice. June, the ship's security chief, walked up to them. He was a big man with careful eyes who never missed anything dangerous. "I just got the report from the ground team. All 6 Shiverclaws they found did the same thing. They saw the humans, made these sounds, and then ran away as fast as they could." "That's impossible," Hyun said, but his voice was quiet. "Shiverclaws are the top predators on this world. They hunt in packs and kill things twice their size. They don't run from anything." Yuna looked up from her computer station in the corner. She was the ship's data expert, always surrounded by screens full of numbers and charts. "Dr. Hyun, I've been checking our records. This has happened on 7 different worlds now." 7 worlds. Hyun sat down hard in his chair. He remembered each one clearly. The fire-breathing scorchwings on Pyros Prime that suddenly stopped their bite, attack and flew away when they smelled human scent. The invisible void stalks in the asteroid colonies that appeared for just a moment, saw the human miners, and then vanished forever. The electric storm beasts on Theta Station that short-circuited their own systems rather than fight human security guards. "Show me the list," Hyun said. Yuna's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard. A list appeared on the main screen that everyone could see. 7 world names, 7 different apex predators. All of them had the same reaction to humans. "There has to be a connection," Hyun said, more to himself than to his team. "Different worlds, different climates, different evolutionary paths, but they all react the same way." "Maybe they smell something on humans that scares them," Nari suggested. "Or maybe they see something," June added. "Some kind of body language or movement pattern." Hyun shook his head. "It's deeper than that. Look at this data." He pointed to Yuna's charts. "These creatures have never seen humans before. Their worlds had no contact with Earth until we arrived, yet somehow they know to be afraid." The ship's communication system made a soft beeping sound. A message was coming in from deep space. Hyun pressed a button to answer it. A blue hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a tall, thin alien with gray skin and 4 arms. This was Ambassador Veltar from the Galactic Council, representing over 200 different species across the galaxy. "Dr. Hyun," the alien said in perfect English. "The Council has received your reports. We are concerned." "Concerned about what, Ambassador?" "About humans," Veltar said simply. 7 apex predator species showing fear toward your people is not normal. The Council wants to know what humans are hiding. Hyun felt anger rise in his chest. "We're not hiding anything. We're scientists trying to understand this just like you are." "Perhaps," Veltar said. "But consider how this looks to other species. Humans arrive on a world, and suddenly the most dangerous creatures there become afraid. Some council members think humans have a secret weapon. Others think humans are the weapon." The hologram flickered slightly. "The Korvaxi Empire is especially worried. They believe humans might be some kind of ancient warrior race pretending to be peaceful explorers." "That's crazy," Nari said from her station. "Is it?" Veltar asked. "Your species went from living in caves to traveling between stars in just a few thousand years. That's faster than any other known species. And now we learn that apex predators fear you naturally." Hyun stood up straight. "Ambassador, we want answers as much as you do. Give us time to investigate." "Time is something we may not have," Veltar replied. "Fear makes species do dangerous things. If the Council decides humans are a threat..." The alien didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. The Galactic Council had weapons that could destroy entire star systems. "How long do we have?" Hyun asked. 1 month, Veltar said. "Find the answer, Dr. Hyun, for everyone's sake." The hologram disappeared, leaving the lab in silence. June was the first to speak. "What do we do now?" Hyun looked around at his team. Nari was staring at her sound analysis. Yuna was already pulling up new data files. June stood ready for whatever orders came next. "We find the truth," Hyun said. "Whatever is making these creatures afraid of us, we're going to discover it. We have 4 weeks to save the human race." Outside the windows, the ice world of Valthara continued its slow spin. Somewhere on its surface, 6 deadly predators were still running from the memory of human faces they had never seen before. The hunt for answers was about to begin. 3 days after the meeting with Ambassador Veltar, a new ship docked with Harmony's Edge. Dr. Hyun watched through the airlock window as a woman in a dark uniform stepped aboard. She was tall and moved with the careful steps of someone used. "To dangerous places. Dr. Hyun," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Kang. The Galactic Council sent me to help with your investigation." Hyun shook her hand and noticed the old scars on her fingers. "What's your specialty?" "I dig up old things," Kang said with a small smile. "Ancient civilizations, dead languages, forgotten histories. The Council thinks this problem might be older than we first thought." "How much older?" Nari asked, joining them in the airlock. "That's what we need to find out," Kang replied. She carried a large black case in her other hand. "I brought some special equipment, tools that can read genetic memories from living creatures." June frowned. "Genetic memories? You mean like instincts?" "More than that," Kang explained as they walked toward the main lab. "Every living thing carries tiny pieces of its ancestors, experiences in its DNA. Usually these memories are too deep to access, but with the right technology we can bring them to the surface." Yuna looked up from her computers as they entered the lab. "You want to look inside the minds of apex predators?" "Exactly," Kang said, setting her case down on an empty table. "If these creatures are afraid of humans because of something that happened long ago, their genetic memories should tell us what." She opened the case. Inside was a device that looked like a metal helmet, connected to a box full of blinking lights. Thin wires and sensors hung from it like electronic hair. "This is a neural mapper," Kang said. "It can read the deep memory patterns stored in a creature's brain and translate them into images we can understand." "Is it safe?" Hyun asked. "For us, yes. For the test subject, they'll be unconscious, but unharmed." Hyun thought about it. They had captured one of the shiver claws from the planet below for study. The creature was being kept in a secure holding area on the lower deck. "Let's try it." An hour later, they all stood around the holding cell looking at the shiver claw. It was about the size of a large dog, but built like a killing machine. 6 powerful legs ended in claws that could cut through metal. Its head was mostly mouth, filled with teeth like broken glass. Even unconscious from the sleep gas they had used, it looked dangerous. "The neural mapper will need about 10 minutes to read its genetic memories," Kang said, carefully placing the device on the creature's head. "The computer will show us what it finds." The machine started humming. Lights blinked faster and faster. On the main screen above them, fuzzy images began to appear. At first, Hyun couldn't tell what he was looking at. The images were dark and unclear, like looking through dirty water. But slowly, they became clearer. The screen showed a landscape covered in ice and snow. But this wasn't the current Velthara. The sky was different, and strange plants grew everywhere. In the distance, mountains rose that didn't exist on the planet anymore. "This is millions of years old," Kang whispered. "We're seeing what this creature's ancient ancestors saw." Suddenly, something moved in the image. A shadow passed between the ice trees. The viewpoint of the memory shifted, as if the creature was turning to look. What they saw made everyone in the room go quiet. A figure walked through the snow. It stood on 2 legs and carried something in its hands. The shape was unmistakably familiar, even across millions of years and thousands of light years of space. "That looks human," Nari said, her voice barely audible. The figure in the memory moved with purpose, following tracks in the snow. Other figures appeared behind it. They worked together, surrounding something the memory creature couldn't see. But the fear was clear. Even through the genetic memory, they could feel the ancestors' terror. "Impossible," Hyun said. "Humans never existed on Velthara. This planet is on the other side of the galaxy from Earth." "The memory is changing," Yuna pointed out. The scene shifted to a different time or place. Now they saw rocky ground under a red sky. Again, bipedal figures moved through the landscape. These ones carried different tools and wore different coverings, but the basic shape was the same. More images flashed by. A jungle world with green sky. A desert planet with 2 suns. A water world with floating islands. In every memory, the same kind of figures appeared. Always walking on 2 legs. Always carrying tools. Always hunting in groups. "This can't be right," June said. "Are you saying humans existed on all these worlds millions of years ago?" Kang was staring at the screen with wide eyes. "Not humans. Something that looked like humans. Or..." She stopped talking as a new memory appeared. This one was clearer than the others. The viewpoint belonged to a large predator stalking through tall grass. Ahead of it, a group of the bipedal figures sat around a fire. The memory predator was confident. It was bigger and stronger than these small creatures. It started to move forward to attack. Then one of the figures looked up, even across the genetic memory. The intelligence in those eyes was clear. The figure made a sound and all the others turned. They didn't run. Instead, they spread out in a pattern that made the predator nervous. One figure threw something, a rock or stick. It missed, but more followed. The predator realized these creatures were working together in a way it had never seen before. The memory ended with the predator running away, confused and afraid. "Dr. Hyun," Nari said quietly, "I've been analyzing the sound patterns from all 7 worlds. The fear calls that apex predators make when they see humans? They're all similar, like they're all remembering the same thing." Kang was checking readings on her device. The neural mapper is picking up memory fragments that go back millions of years. But here's what's strange. These memories are too detailed to be normal genetic inheritance. "What do you mean?" Hyun asked. "Normal genetic memories are just basic instincts. Fear of fire, attraction to food, that kind of thing. But these memories have specific images, locations, behaviors. It's like these creatures' ancestors had direct contact with the same species across multiple worlds and time periods." Yuna was typing quickly on her computer. "I'm cross-referencing the memory dates with galactic formation data. Dr. Hyun, some of these memories are older than these planets themselves." The room fell silent as they all tried to understand what they were seeing. "There's only one explanation that makes sense," Kang said slowly. "These creatures aren't remembering encounters with humans. They're remembering encounters with whatever humans evolved from. And somehow, that original species managed to reach multiple worlds before any known space travel existed." Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. "You're saying humans didn't evolve on Earth alone?" "I'm saying," Kang replied, "that maybe Earth wasn't the first world where human ancestors lived. Maybe they were somewhere else first, and something scattered them across the galaxy long before recorded history began." The Shiverclaw stirred in its cage as the neural mapper finished its work. Even unconscious, it made a small sound of fear. Outside the ship, the stars looked the same as always, but now they seemed to hide much older secrets than anyone had imagined. The journey to Nexus Station took 5 days through hyperspace. Dr. Hyun spent most of that time staring at the genetic memory recordings they had collected. Each time he watched them, he saw new details that made him more confused and worried. Nexus Station was huge. It floated in empty space between 3 dead star systems, a metal city the size of a small moon. Ships from hundreds of different species docked there every day. At the center of the station stood the Eternal Archive, the largest library in the galaxy. "I've never seen anything this big," Nari said as their ship approached the docking bay. "The archive contains the history of every known civilization," Kang explained. "Some records go back billions of years. If answers exist about human origins, we'll find them here." The docking process took an hour. When they finally stepped off their ship, Hyun was amazed by what he saw. The station's main corridor was wide enough for 50 people to walk side by side. Aliens of every shape and size moved past them. Some walked on legs, others floated, and a few rolled on mechanical wheels. "This way," Kang said, leading them through the crowd. "I sent a message ahead. The archive's keeper is expecting us." They took a transport pod that traveled through tubes inside the station walls. Through the transparent sides, Hyun could see the archive growing larger as they approached. The building was made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. Transport pod stopped at a platform high up on the archive's side. They walked through doors that opened by themselves and entered a vast hall filled with floating shelves. Books, data crystals, and devices Hyun couldn't identify moved through the air on invisible currents. "Welcome," said a voice behind them. They turned to see a woman approaching. She was human but very old, with white hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. She moved slowly but with purpose. "I'm Kira," she said. "I've been the human keeper here for 40 years. Kang told me about your investigation." "You've been here 40 years?" Hyun asked, surprised. "Time moves differently when you're surrounded by all of history," Kira said with a smile. "I've read things that most humans never dream of, including some things about our own species that might interest you." She led them deeper into the archive. The floating shelves parted as they walked, creating a path. "The genetic memories you found match some very old records we have here, records that date back to the formation of this galaxy." They reached a circular platform surrounded by empty air. Kira touched a control panel, and suddenly they were surrounded by floating screens showing star maps, planetary data, and streams of text in languages Hyun had never seen. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "The early history of galactic life," Kira replied. "Watch this." One of the screens showed a time-lapse view of the galaxy spinning. Stars formed and died. Planets appeared and disappeared. But something else was happening too. Small points of light moved between the stars, following paths that seemed impossible for natural objects. "Asteroid impacts," Kira explained. "But not random ones. These asteroids carried organic material from one world to many others. It happened billions of years ago, during the galaxy's youth." Yuna was studying the data streams. "These patterns, they show the same organic compounds appearing on hundreds of different worlds at nearly the same time." "Exactly," Kira said. "Life didn't evolve separately on each world. It was seeded from a single source and then developed differently based on local conditions." "What was the source?" June asked. Kira touched another control. A new image appeared showing a planet Hyun recognized immediately. It was Earth, but Earth as it looked billions of years ago. The continents were different shapes, and the atmosphere was thicker. Earth was one of the first worlds where complex life developed, Kira said. But it wasn't the only one, and when massive asteroid impacts occurred, they didn't just destroy life, they scattered it. "You're saying Earth life was spread across the galaxy?" Hyun asked. "I'm saying more than that," Kira replied. She brought up new data showing genetic patterns. "Every apex predator species you've encountered shares basic DNA markers with Earth creatures. They're all distant cousins, separated by billions of years and billions of miles." Nari was looking at sound analysis data that appeared on one of the screens. "The fear calls we recorded. They match patterns found in fossilized Earth creatures from the same time period. But that still doesn't explain why they fear humans, specifically," Hyun said. Kira smiled sadly. "That's where the story gets interesting and disturbing." She brought up new images. These showed early Earth but focused on one specific type of creature. Hyun recognized them immediately from the genetic memories they had recorded. "Early human ancestors," Kira said. "But not the peaceful gatherers that most history books describe. These were apex predator killers." The images showed scenes that made Hyun's stomach turn. Groups of early humans working together to hunt creatures, much larger and stronger than themselves. They used fire, tools, and most importantly, persistence. They would follow their prey for days or weeks, never giving up until the target collapsed from exhaustion. "Most predators hunt for food," Kira explained. "Early humans hunted for survival. They didn't just kill for meat. They eliminated competition. Any creature that threatened them or competed with them for resources was systematically destroyed. That's impossible, June said. Humans were small and weak compared to real predators. Individually, yes, Kira agreed. But humans had something no other species had. They could plan attacks that lasted generations. They could pass knowledge to their children about which creatures to fear and which to eliminate. They turned hunting into a science. More images appeared showing the results. Species after species disappearing from Earth as human ancestors spread across the planet. Not through war or disease, but through careful, patient elimination. The creatures that survived learned to fear humans, Kira said. Not just as individuals, but as a species. They passed that fear down through their genes. Yuna was staring at genetic charts on another screen. According to this data, humans didn't just eliminate predators on Earth. They hunted them so effectively that the surviving populations developed enhanced fear responses. The ability to recognize human characteristics became a survival trait. And when life from Earth was scattered across the galaxy, Kang added, understanding dawning in her voice, those fear responses went with it. Every apex predator in the galaxy carries genetic memories of being hunted by human ancestors, Kira confirmed. They don't remember humans specifically. They remember the fear their ancestors felt when facing the galaxy's most effective predator. Killers! Hyun felt dizzy. You're saying humans are natural apex predator eliminators. I'm saying humans evolved specifically to hunt things that other species couldn't kill, Kira replied. Fire breathers, phase shifters, electric generators. It didn't matter. If it competed with humans, humans found a way to destroy it. But we're not killers now, Nari protested. Modern humans are peaceful. Modern humans don't need to hunt. Apex predators for survival, Kira said. But the genetic programming is still there. The way you move, the way you think, the way you work together, it's all designed for hunting the unhuntable. June was reading military reports that had appeared on one of the screens. This explains why human soldiers are so effective against alien creatures. We're not just using better weapons. We're triggering genetic fears that go back billions of years. The galaxy's apex predators don't just fear humans, Kira said quietly. They fear what humans represent, the end of their evolutionary dominance, the species that can hunt anything, anywhere, anytime. The archive's lights dimmed slightly, as if reflecting the mood of the conversation. Around them, the floating shelves continued their eternal dance, carrying the weight of galactic history. How do we tell the Galactic Council this? Hyun asked. Very carefully, Kira replied, because once they understand what humans really are, they'll have to decide whether we're protectors or threats. Outside the archive, alien ships continued arriving and departing, carrying their crews on missions across the galaxy. None of them knew they were sharing space with the descendants of the galaxy's most successful predator killers. The truth was older and more terrifying than anyone had imagined. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was held in the largest meeting chamber on Nexus Station. Representatives from over 200 species filled the circular amphitheater. Dr. Hyun had never seen so many different life forms in one place. In the center of the chamber stood a speaking platform surrounded by translation devices. Every word spoken would be instantly converted into the languages and communication methods of all attending species. The human delegation may present their findings, announced the council speaker, a tall blue creature with 6 arms and no visible. Mouth Hyun walked to the platform with his team behind him. The eyes, sensors, and other detection organs of hundreds of aliens focused on him. He felt very small and very human. "Honored representatives," Hyun began, his voice carrying through the chamber's speakers. "We have discovered why apex predators fear humans. The answer is older than any of our civilizations." Murmurs filled the chamber. Translation devices created a symphony of sounds as different species shared their reactions. Kang stepped forward and activated a holographic projector. Images from the archive began appearing in the air above them. Billions of years ago, life from a single world was scattered across this galaxy by asteroid impacts. That world was Earth. The murmurs grew louder. Several species Hyun didn't recognize made agitated movements. Every apex predator in the galaxy evolved from creatures that once lived on Earth, Kang continued. They carried genetic memories of encounters with early human ancestors. Ambassador Veltar rose from his seat. "You're claiming that humans seeded life across the galaxy?" "No," Hyun replied. "We're saying that natural forces spread Earth life, including early human ancestors, to many worlds. But the humans we're talking about lived billions of years before modern humanity existed." Nari activated the sound analysis equipment. The chamber filled with the low-frequency fear calls they had recorded from various apex predators. "These are the sounds predators make when they encounter humans. The translation matrix indicates they all mean the same thing: ancient hunters or the ones who never stop." From the Korvaxi Empire section, General Thrak stood up. The massive armored alien's voice boomed through his translator. "These ancient hunters you speak of, what were they hunting?" Yuna brought up genetic data charts. "Everything. According to archive records, early human ancestors systematically eliminated any creature that competed with them for resources or posed a threat to their survival." "Eliminated how?" asked a representative from the peaceful Zenthari. Hyun took a deep breath. This was the part he dreaded explaining. "Through persistence, hunting, and coordinated group tactics. Early humans would track a single target for weeks or months, never giving up until it died from exhaustion. They also passed hunting knowledge between generations, turning predator elimination into a multi-generational science." The chamber erupted. Species throughout the amphitheater began talking, arguing, and making distress sounds. Some representatives stood up and moved toward the exits. "Order!" called the council speaker. "Let the humans finish their presentation." June stepped forward with military data. "This genetic programming explains several mysteries about human-alien interactions. When human soldiers encounter apex predators in combat, the creatures often hesitate or retreat even when they have tactical advantages." "Are you saying humans have been using this as a weapon?" General Thrak demanded. "No," June replied firmly. "Most humans don't know about this effect. But our evolutionary heritage affects how we move, how we coordinate in groups, and how we approach threats. Apex predators recognize these patterns at a genetic level." Kira joined them on the platform. As the senior human representative at the archive, her words carried special weight. "The Council needs to understand that modern humans are not the same as their ancient ancestors, but the genetic legacy remains." "What exactly does this legacy include?" asked Dr. Zenth from the scientific community. "Enhanced pattern recognition for tracking prey across long distances," Kira explained. "Ability to coordinate complex group hunting strategies, willingness to pursue a single target for extended periods without giving up, and most importantly, the ability to identify and eliminate apex predators that other species consider impossible to defeat." A small, plant-like alien from the outer rim stood up. Are humans saying they are natural killers? We're saying humans evolved specifically to survive in environments dominated by apex predators, Hyun answered carefully. On Earth, this led to the extinction of many large predator species. Across the galaxy, it led to apex predators developing genetic fear responses to human characteristics. Fear responses that still exist today, Nari added. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Representatives looked at the humans on the platform with new understanding and, in some cases, visible nervousness. General Thrak was the first to speak. The Korvaxi Empire has always wondered why human warriors are so effective against creatures that defeat our best soldiers. Now we understand. This changes everything, said Ambassador Veltar. If humans are natural apex predator eliminators, what does this mean for galactic security? It means humans could be the galaxy's best defense against dangerous creatures, suggested Dr. Zenth. Or its greatest threat, countered a representative from the Hive Collective. Hyun raised his hand for attention. We've discovered something else. The genetic programming works both ways. Humans can also help apex predators overcome their fear responses through controlled exposure and rehabilitation techniques. What do you mean? Asked the council speaker. Kang activated new holographic displays showing successful interactions between humans and various apex predators. On 3 different worlds, human researchers have successfully established peaceful relationships with predator species by gradually desensitizing them to human presence. The key is patience and understanding of their genetic memories. You're saying humans can tame apex predators? General Thrak sounded very interested. Not tame, Hyun corrected. Communicate with and coexist peacefully alongside. We've learned to use our evolutionary heritage responsibly. Dr. Zenth's translator produced excited chirping sounds. This could revolutionize how we handle dangerous wildlife on frontier worlds. Or create super soldiers, muttered the Hive Collective representative. The council must vote on how to respond to this information, announced the council speaker. Do we classify humans as a protective species, a restricted species, or something else entirely? I propose a trial period, said Ambassador Veltar. Allow human researchers to work with apex predator problems across the galaxy. Monitor the results. Judge humans by their actions, not their ancestry. General Thrak stood again. The Korvaxi Empire supports this proposal. We also request permission to establish joint training programs with human military forces. Several other species voiced support for the trial period. Others demanded more restrictions and monitoring. The formal vote will be held tomorrow, the council speaker announced. All species will have time to consider the implications. As the session ended and representatives began filing out, many stopped to look at the humans. Some showed fear, others curiosity, and a few displayed what might have been respect. Do you think they'll accept us? Nari asked quietly. They don't have much choice, Kira replied. We're all part of the same galactic community now. The question is whether they'll see humans as partners or problems. Hyun watched the last of the alien representatives leave the chamber. Tomorrow's vote would determine humanity's future among the stars. But whatever happened, the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The ancient hunters had returned, but this time they came in peace. Whether the galaxy would believe that remained to be seen. 6 months after the Galactic Council vote, Dr. Han stood on the surface of New Harmony, a frontier world where humans and aliens worked together for the first time. The vote had been close, but the Council had decided to give humanity a chance. To prove itself, the trial period was working better than anyone had expected. The Thunderwings are responding well to the new protocols, Nari reported through her communication device. She was stationed on a hilltop 2 kilometers away, monitoring a family of large flying predators that had been terrorizing the local colony. These creatures were the size of small aircraft, with wings that generated electrical fields strong enough to destroy metal structures. For months, they had attacked any building or vehicle that entered their territory. The colonists had been ready to abandon the planet. But Hyun's team had developed a different solution. "Remember, move slowly and keep your breathing steady," Hyun said into his radio as he walked across the open ground toward the Thunderwing nest. "They can sense fear and aggressive intentions." Behind him, a mixed group of human and alien colonists followed at a safe distance. Today was the final test. If it worked, New Harmony would become the first world where apex predators and settlers lived in peace. The largest Thunderwing spotted Hyun approaching and rose from its nest with wings spread wide. Electricity crackled between its feathers. In the past, this would have been the moment when the creature attacked. Instead, the Thunderwing made a sound that Nari's equipment translated as "ancient hunter." But this time, the call carried curiosity instead of fear. Hyun stopped walking and sat down on the ground. This was the crucial moment. He had spent weeks teaching the colonists that predators respected patience more than aggression. The Thunderwing folded its wings and tilted its head, studying Hyun. Slowly, it moved closer. "It's working," whispered Yuna through the radio. She was monitoring the interaction from the colony's research station. "The creature's stress hormones are decreasing." Hyun reached into his pack and pulled out a large fish, one of the Thunderwing's favorite foods. He placed it on the ground between himself and the predator, then backed away slowly. The Thunderwing approached the fish cautiously. When it realized Hyun wasn't trying to compete for the food, it relaxed completely. After eating, the creature made a different sound. This one translated as "not enemy." "Phase 1 complete," Hyun said softly. "Beginning Phase 2. He stood up and walked to a metal post that had been planted in the ground earlier. The post marked the boundary between Thunderwing territory and human settlement. As he touched the marker, the Thunderwing watched, but didn't show any aggression. "The boundary markers are working," reported June from the colony. "All 5 Thunderwing families are respecting the territorial agreements." This was the breakthrough they had hoped for. By understanding that apex predators carried genetic memories of human hunting tactics, Hyun's team had learned to reverse the effect. Instead of triggering fear, they could establish communication and mutual respect. "New Harmony Control to Dr. Hyun," came a voice through his radio. "We have visitors approaching from orbit." Hyun looked up to see ships descending through the atmosphere. He recognized the designs immediately. Korvaxi Empire military vessels, along with ships from a dozen other species. "Looks like word is spreading," Nari observed. An hour later, Hyun found himself giving a demonstration to representatives from across the galaxy. General Thrak had come personally to observe the human-predator interaction protocols. "Impressive?" the massive Korvaxi leader said as they watched a human colonist walk safely past a resting Thunderwing. "My people have been fighting apex predators for centuries. We never considered trying to communicate with them. The key is understanding their genetic memories," explained Kang, who had arrived that morning with the diplomatic mission. "These creatures don't actually want to fight. They're programmed to fear humans, but that fear can be transformed into respect through proper interaction. Dr. Zenth from the scientific community was recording everything. How many worlds could benefit from these techniques? We've identified 47 frontier colonies currently dealing with apex predator conflicts, Yuna replied. Initial analysis suggests our protocols could work on 38 of them. What about the other 9? Asked Ambassador Veltar. Those involve predators with different evolutionary backgrounds, Hyun explained. We'll need to develop new approaches for each species. The Galactic Council is prepared to fund expansion of this program, Veltar announced. The early results have exceeded all expectations. General Thrak stepped closer to Hyun. The Korvaxi Empire wants to establish joint training academies. Teach our people these human techniques for dealing with dangerous creatures. We'd be honored to share our knowledge, Hyun replied. As the diplomatic meetings continued, Hyun received a message on his personal communicator. It was from Kira. At the archive. Dr. Hyun, I thought you should know. We found more records about human evolutionary history. There are indications that your ancestors weren't just apex predator eliminators. They were also ecosystem balancers. They knew how to maintain the natural order instead of just destroying it. Hyun smiled. That explains why the rehabilitation protocols are working so well. There's more, Kira continued. The archive contains records of other worlds where human-like species established successful partnerships with apex predators. Your people might have done this before, millions of years ago. Are you saying this is natural for humans? I'm saying humans might be the galaxy's natural mediators between civilization and wild nature. The Council is starting to understand that. That evening, Hyun stood on the colony's observation deck watching the sunset. In the distance, thunder wings soared through the sky in graceful formations. They no longer attacked buildings or vehicles. Instead, they had become New Harmony's protectors, driving away the smaller predators that actually threatened the colonists. Nari joined him on the deck. Hard to believe how much has changed in 6 months. The galaxy is starting to see humans differently, Hyun agreed. Not as ancient killers, but as partners in building a better future. What's next? Nari asked. June is setting up the new training academy on Korvaxi Prime. Yuna is working with the scientific community to develop protocols for other predator species. Kang is searching the archive for more information about human evolutionary history. And you? Hyun gestured toward the flying thunder wings. I'm going to keep doing what humans do best, finding ways for different species to live together in peace. A year later, the Apex Predator Cooperation Initiative had been established on 53 worlds. Human specialists worked alongside alien researchers to develop solutions for dangerous wildlife conflicts. The program was so successful that several species had requested permanent human advisors for their frontier colonies. The Galactic Council officially recognized humans as a protective species with special responsibilities for maintaining ecological balance across the galaxy. Instead of being feared as ancient killers, humans were now sought after as mediators and protectors. Dr. Hyun often thought about how the discovery had started with simple fear responses from alien predators. That fear had led them to uncover humanity's true evolutionary heritage. Not as destroyers, but as guardians who understood both the necessity of survival and the importance of balance. The galaxy was vast and full of dangerous creatures. But for the first time in millions of years, those creatures had partners who spoke their ancient language of respect, patience, and mutual understanding. The age of cooperation between predator and prey had begun, guided by the descendants of the galaxy's most successful survivors. And it was working better than anyone had dared to hope.